big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
Okay, before we get into this video, I just want to say, you don't need fog for woodland photography. I talk about it all the time, I think about it all the time, I look at apps and wait for fog. In this video, when I'm in the field, I talk about it saying, oh, there's no fog. Get back, look at my photos. You don't need fog. I'm going to show you a print at the end of this. Enjoy it, and I'll talk about why I don't think it's as important as we all let on. Good morning, everybody. Fantastic to see you all again. And I am making another, well, a first photography video since Patagonia, out in the wild. And I am in the south of England exploring bluebell woods here, which I've never done before, so I'm super excited. And there's a little bit of mist in there, not much, but enough to make it interesting, I think. So, I've got to sort of navigate my way through the woodland to try and find where I was yesterday, because I scouted it yesterday, but I'm going to go in a different way. Let's see what we can do. So there's a path here. I've got to get under the motorway. And I don't want to walk any bluebells because so I'm just following this path that goes through the bluebells, hopefully to the subway that goes under the motorway. That's the plan. I think I found the spot that I found yesterday. I've got to be super careful. I don't want to walk in any big bluebell areas. Here's fairly clear. There's a path just running past here and through here because I don't want to damage the bluebells. That's the most important thing here. So I think I found it. There's no fog. There was some fog on the right and it's gone. But I've just been looking on some maps and all around me there's fog, but apart from here, which is sod's law, isn't it? But it doesn't really matter. I still get a good shot. Just won't be that sort of mystical bluebelly shot that I wanted, but you never know, you never know. So I'm just going to wait for the light to come up a little bit more. I'm here way too early, and then hopefully I'll get something super special. Right, it's still really dark, and I've got an exposure of 20 seconds, f9, and doing ISO 400. This is the composition that I've got at the moment. I don't think I'm going to be able to show it that easily, but I really like this sort of leaning tree, little tree here, and I'm using that as the center of the frame. And then the sort of receding trees to the left of it that work really well, I think. It's pitch black at the moment, so it's just testing different compositions at the moment. Oh God, I wish there was a little bit more atmosphere. I don't think there's going to be now. I think it's because it's really cloudy. So I think it tried, if it had been a little bit less cloudy, it would have been good, but that's photography, isn't it? That's photography. This is so cool. There's so many amazing compositions here. It is so great having this sort of clear floor and these amazing beech trees. And I've come round a little bit just to get this shot here. I really like the sort of layout of these sort of trees. So you sort of hop from one to the other, from this one to this one to this one. And then there's sort of a background that's quite uniform. So this is like, it's going to be ISO 64, about 20 seconds f10, I think. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go a bit round there. I want to see if I can get a fern at the edge of the bluebell woods that I can shoot a little bit wider and use that as the subject. There's loads in the middle, but I can't obviously walk into there. So yeah, I've got this shot here. I found a fern right at the edge of the woodland. It's not ideal. These are a little bit too dominant, these trees on the left-hand side, but I think it looks pretty cool. I quite like it. I might try different composition because I can walk around to the left of it a little bit, but I've got this fern here. I'm sort of bracketing the focus, so I'm focusing here, here, and here, and apart from that, it's just really simple. Oh, this is beautiful. I think I'm going to get my drone out and just fly it through in a second because it looks so spectacular. I think it'll look really good with the drone.
I actually really like the fern at the bottom of the frame here, but the problem is that the mid-ground, the bit in the sort of middle third, is just a little bit boring, and I feel like it's almost two images, like the bottom and the top, so I could have gone lower, but then I would have introduced more sky. It was a tricky composition, and one that didn't quite work in this case.
So I can't come in too far here, but this area here hasn't got many bluebells. So I think I can get my tripod here. This log is really cool. So I'm going to try and experiment with some different compositions around this log. But I think it's just going to look good just straight up like this. Maybe just around sort of here. We can even go quite close and get some of the fern in. Yeah, I think this will look so good. Right, experiment with this. This place is so amazing. You can get a little bit overwhelmed when something's like really beautiful like this and you've never shot it before. You've got to really in your head say, is this really a good composition? Because there's a tendency just to think that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. And what you've got to try and do is just sort of think, okay, I'm just going to think really carefully about the trees and the alignment of the trees and how the ferns interplay with those, and really, really carefully think about your composition, because otherwise you go back and you end up with just a lot of average shots rather than a really good one. So what I'm trying to do now is just take my time. I quite like this tree here, but I've not found the right angle for it. So I'm going to walk around the outside of the bluebells and try and get into patches like this where there's not any bluebells or very few bluebells where I can walk through. But it's so spectacular here. This is without doubt the best bluebell woodland I have ever seen in my life. Incredible. Right, I think I found something really good here. So I've got this tree here that's fallen down that I was trying to get on an angle just around there. I'll show you the photo that I was trying to get from around there. It just didn't quite work. But I think that this works well. This is at around about 60 millimeters. This is so good. This tree with it, it's just got a nice background. The bluebells work really well with it. There's some bluebells in front of it, which really helps. But I actually think there might be a pano here as well. So all around this area, because there's another fallen tree. So I'm going to take this and then I'm going to try a pano. I'm so excited about this.
So the tricky thing with this image was trying to hide that branch that stuck up, and I tried to do it in the branch that was hanging down of the beech tree. I think it worked. I was a little bit unsure when I got back to edit this, but I think it's okay. I would have loved just a little bit more fog, which would have added just a little bit less complication in the background because there was so many trees. But this next image, I think really worked. I didn't talk about this when I was in the field, but I really like it. I think it's worked out really well.
Okay, so I'm just walking back and I found a scene here that is really interesting, but it's not your sort of obvious bluebell scene. And this shows you just got to look out for the stuff. So I've got this sort of branch at the bottom here, and then right in the distance you can see the bluebells, and I think it looks pretty good. So this branch here, and then in the distance the bluebells, yeah, really does look good. So just going to work this out. I've nearly run out of battery and I only brought one battery. I'm so dumb, but I've had a fantastic morning. I can't wait to see these printed. I will stop at some point. So I've got a longer lens on now, and I found some bluebells to shoot through towards this thing in the background, this tree in the background. Let me just show you. So I'm just shooting through these bluebells here, and then I've got this really nice tree in the background. I think it works really well. I'm really pleased with this. So I'll just give you a bit of a, so it's these here, these bluebells here, and then that's the background.
So I hope you enjoyed that. I got some great photos, didn't I? I've got a print here I want to show you. I've also got some other photos I want to show you and explain a little bit more about the things to look for when there is no fog. Before I do that, I just want to say thanks to this week's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. If you're looking for a website to share your photos, or you maybe want to sell your prints, then Squarespace is a fantastic all-in-one platform. It's super, super easy. You can really easily go and just choose from a template and then add your photos. The hardest thing is just thinking about what to write. I use it to sell my prints, my workshops, I've written blogs on it. I upload photos to it in galleries. It's just a fantastic photography tool. So if you haven't got a website or you want to update your website, then check out the link in the description below, or go to squarespace.com/Nigel for 10% off. Right, onto these photos. So basically what we're trying to do with fog is we are trying to create depth in the image. But you can do that in different ways, and especially in woodland, because in woodland you've got trees that are closer and further away from the camera, which gives that perceived depth. This is a great example. The difficulty when you've not got fog is complexity. So it's easy to get things that are a little bit too complex. I've got some nice light here, but the tree coming down, the ferns at the bottom, the trees on the left-hand side that are really close together just don't work because it's all overwhelming on your sort of senses. So you've got to try and create a more simplistic view like this. Fog helps you do that, but you don't need it. The key thing I'd say is go when it's raining or when it's cloudy. Rain is really good because it creates more saturation and depth in the images. Or just go, early in the morning I find is good, especially if there's going to be some light, because then you'll get shots like this. Now, again, this is a good example of I could have probably done a bit of a better job on this. The trees on the left-hand side are too tightly packed together, but the light really helps because it draws your eye through into the image, creates that depth, and that makes a big difference. But you don't have to just have light. You could just do ones like this, which I've printed actually. On this image, you can see that I've got this central tree here, and then I've got a line of trees that are leading to it. And I've got this really nice sort of broken branch here, and the bluebells, and then depth in the background through just what was a little bit of atmosphere, which you often get in the morning, but there was no fog. It's the simplicity of the image that helps. I'm not hampered too much by the fact there's no fog. Like, you could do things like this. So you saw right at the end of the video that I shot through those bluebells with a longer lens. And again, that creates this idea of depth. You're looking through something. I've made sure the trees are fairly simplistic, but in this case, I've just concentrated on this one tree with this sort of, I suppose, skirt of branches at the bottom, and I think that works really, really well. Or you could try some ICM like this. I've got the light coming out here, and I've just jiggled the camera away. There's no real special formula for this. You just got to trial and error. I use somewhere between half a second and 3 seconds. It's a good idea to move up and down, and it's a good idea to hold it for a little bit during the ICM as well, I'd say. But yeah, all these images are taken without fog. This one's like quite a lot later in the day. The two key things that you need to have are simplicity and something that shows depth in the image. And I think you can create great shots like this one. And this was taken really early on, that first trait that you just saw. And I really like this. I think I've been quite well selected in my positioning. The trees are all nicely separated, and I've got this tree sort of leading you in, creating that depth into the scene. So I've got simplicity, I've got depth. What can go wrong when you've got that amazing bluebell forest floor like that? It was a fantastic time I had in Dorset. Really, really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this video as well. I'm caught up at the moment between doing my camper van and really get excited about going out and doing some spring photography. You will see some new videos soon. I've got some planned. Thanks ever so much for watching. And until next Sunday, maybe. Bye.